First of all, I just want to have a quick question to everyone, whether or not you will be available to work in your actual Make It Challenge teams today or not. So if you will be able to do that, then just type a yes in the chat box. However, if people are at different places and you're not here, then say no. So it says kinda, yes, okay, should be, then it sounds good. You should have already received an email, or we're sending you an email very soon, where you're gonna get some more information about what we're gonna do, but you don't have to do that yet. Oh, a couple of no's. Okay, if you're a no, then make sure you send Shane a message, and we will see how we can fix that for you. Okay, we know that design thinking is a 3-step process. We have understand, ideas, and action. When we are talking about business modeling, it's really about the action steps. So how do we bring our business to life? Not just how do we bring it to life, we need to think about the different elements that it consists of. And then we also need to think about, is this sustainable? Can this be scaled? And also, how does this business model potentially evolve over time? We are therefore in the action step of design thinking. We are now going to be doing a very quick test. So quickly, do you remember what this sweet spot of a startup idea is? Is it where we find innovation value? Is it that it's business viable, technically feasible, and user desirable? Or is it impact versus profit? Okay, we have a lot of B's. So some people were definitely paying attention yesterday. Very nice. The correct answer is both A and B. So they are the same thing, 2 sides of the same coin. You can find both innovation value, but it also have to satisfy those 3 criteria. So when we are coming up with a new startup idea, we need to make sure that 1, we have a great user-centric idea. And then we also need to validate that we can actually make this idea happen in the market. We're then thinking a lot about the kind of human desirable, but also the technically feasible side of things. When we're talking about business model, we're really more talking about the business viability of things. So to make sure that our startup is successful and that it makes money, we also need to think about the business model. So basically the revenue, the cost, the key activities, and so on. So let's look a little bit more into a business model. So can anyone take a little bit of not a guess, maybe an educated guess? What is a business model? Is it a prototype of your product or your service? Is it the logic behind how your business runs? Or is it a plan for employee transformation? This is too easy for you guys. I'm giving away the answers too soon. But yes, it's correct. Like Lukeman says, it's Batman. It's B for Batman. The logic behind how your business runs is correct. So the business model is really the core strategy for how you are delivering value to your users and how you are ensuring profitability of your business. But how do you actually do this? So there are a couple of different ways to do it. But the questions that normally makes up your business model is, who are you creating innovation, or who are you creating value for? What are those customers? What do they want? So what is the customer value? How are you going to be delivering value for them? And then how can you make money trying to deliver that value? Your business model will be a story that communicates all of these points. And I'll give you a little bit of a hint. We have already looked at who you are creating value for, which is basically your persona. We have also understood what these customers want if you have done user research. How we are delivering this value, we can come up with during ideation. So what is the format? What is the structure? However, to be able to see how we can make money out of this, we have to do business modeling. So when we're thinking about a business model, it's not a very complex framework. It's more of the logic behind the business and how all different types of components come together to deliver value to a concrete customer segment. So a business model really matters, because if you don't have a business model, you won't necessarily have an overview or a direction of how your business will prosper. So it's not just about how it will take place, but also how it potentially will grow over time. So it will answer questions like, what are you selling? Who are you targeting? Where will your idea start? What is the value you want to deliver? And how do you kind of ensure sustained revenue? And how do you kind of deliver value to your customers? So not just what they want, but how do you actually execute it? And how do you actually get them involved in your business? So what do you think a good business model has? The ability to generate profit for owners, the ability to generate positive change in the world, or the ability to achieve a balance of profit and positive change. Okay, I have to say this is a little bit of a trick question, because the last one is very true for social enterprises. However, it's not necessarily true for normal startups. They would normally think more about the ability to generate profit for owners. So for a social enterprise, it's the last one that applies, the ability to achieve a balance of profit and positive change to varying degree, depending on what social enterprise you're dealing with. Some cares more about the impact, some cares more about the profit. It just depends a bit. So the priorities of a social enterprise is really both profit as well as positive change. The fact that these two elements have to work together makes it even more difficult to create a successful social impact startup than a normal startup. Because in a normal startup setting, all you have to do is kind of think about the profit, and even that's really hard. We saw yesterday that 90% fails. But now that you also have to take this change element into consideration, it can sometimes be even more difficult to balance how do you spend money, how do you make money, and who do you make money on, to kind of make sure that it still stays as a positive impact organization. I like what you're saying, Azrael, little bit like yin and yang. However, I feel like yin and yang are almost a bit too opposite, because as you will see, there's not necessarily that these two are butting against each other. There are ways you can be very creative about kind of making money, but still being good to the world, even maybe in a way that you wouldn't have unless you had that aspect of positive change. But you need to think things through a bit more, and it can make it more challenging sometimes to scale. If you remember the example that I talked to you yesterday about Magico, the company that I started, we had a lot of problems scaling because the consumers we were targeting were the really, really low end, the very, very underprivileged, and they simply don't have as much purchasing power, so it's much harder to reach them. So failure to build a good business model that can lead to, one, you might not be able to grow the business. You might not be able to attract investment. It can be hard for you to recruit talent. It can be hard for you to motivate and managing staff. But obviously the most important one is the first one. I'm going to give you a very quick example of PepperTap, which was an Indian on-demand delivery service for grocery store. They raised more than $51 million. And they basically had a mobile first company, and they had 100% inventory less model. So it was a little bit similar to HappyFresh. But the PepperTap, they built a kind of a discount model where they wanted to build a very large and loyal customer group. So they were actually going a lot in kind of, they were not making any money. And they actually ended up having to close shop because they were focusing on growth rather than revenue too soon. So this is a very, very quick introduction to what a business model is and why business models are so important to social enterprises. If anyone has any questions, then pop them in the chat. Both Wilson and I will be answering questions along the way. Now we're going to be looking at a couple of examples of business models for social enterprises. There are some of these you might have heard about, some of these you might not have heard about. These four are not the only four social enterprise business models. These are just four selected ones. So there are other ways of doing it, but these are four pretty known ones. So the first one is a kind of a one-for-one business. Which an example is Tom's. They do both shoes and eyewear. The other one is the employment model, which is something like Pizza Eat, where you employ kind of people in a difficult situation to give them new opportunities. Then we have the reuse business model, which is the Goodwill, where you're kind of inputting something which no one really wants anymore, and then kind of managing to make money out of it. The other part is the entrepreneur support business model, where you're kind of trying to build and support local entrepreneurs to grow their business. So the first example is Tom's, the other one is Pizza Eat, the third one is Goodwill, and the fourth one is Grameen Microfinancing Bank. So which one of these have you heard about before? Have you heard about Tom's? Have you heard about Goodwill? Have you heard about Pizza Eats? And have you heard about Grameen Bank? So quite a few people have heard about Pizza. Makes sense because it's a Malaysian startup. Quite a few have heard about both Goodwill and Grameen as well. Okay, so some of these might be unfamiliar to you, but I'm going to walk you through them. So don't worry. If you have any questions, make sure that you ask them so that we can kind of clarify any questions you may have. So the first one is the kind of one-for-one business model, which is adopted by Tom's and many others. Basically, Tom's is mainly a shoe, but they also have eyewear provider, where they are kind of revolving around going above and beyond in their sales to kind of be able to give back and do good in different communities. So basically, for every shoe that they sell, they give one away. So every shoe that they sell in kind of Western, more value or kind of more purchasing power economies, they actually give one away to rural areas to help kind of combat health diseases, make sure people have shoes, and kind of make life easier and more comfortable. Their value proposition is really about improving the lives of millions of people around the world while still creating a business. So the customers, how do they feel after they buy a Tom's product? You remember yesterday we talked about kind of that you have to have form, function, and feel, and all of these all of these social enterprises have focused a lot on this part around the feeling of their product. So you can think about the customer who wants to look cool, and also there's this effect of wanting to let everyone know that they just bought a pair of shoes that helps kids in developing countries. So after a purchase emotion, you might feel kind of an image and an ego boost, and it also feels good to be generous because you know that you're giving back. So this appeals a lot to customers because Tom's business models displays a great purpose other than profit making. This is a bit of pictures from some of their campaigns where they're kind of showing how they're benefiting different parts of the world. They have had a lot of impact. So they've had a couple of different campaigns and they have more than 400 million in revenue. Their current number of donated shoes is at 75 million pairs of shoes. So it's a very high number. And the one-for-one movement is aspiring many social entrepreneurs to create their own unique organization with a similar business model. So quiz. What are the customer segments of Tom's? And I can kind of reveal that it's definitely more than two or more. So who are the customer segments of Tom? And there is silence. Working adults, yeah, Kristen, very good. So working adults in any type of economy or any particular economy you're looking at. Middle income, okay? So Tom's shoes, they look pretty cool. Students, celebrity, people who wants to help and make a positive insight. And then we also have underserved communities, yes. So we definitely have two different big segments here. The first one are the people that are buying the shoes. And of course, the second segment are the people who are receiving free shoes. So Tom is serving both customer segments and they have unique value propositions to each of them. One is about wanting to feel good buying stuff, and the other one is basically about wanting to have footwear and protect their health. Okay, let's look at the next one, the employment model. So this is really about creating opportunities for underprivileged communities. So what they do is that they hire, this is very often when you hire vulnerable or disadvantaged individuals with a goal of creating a positive impact for their employees and eventually the broader community. So the example of this is Pizza Eat. So Pizza Eat is a Malaysian social enterprise that finds refugee mothers to cook authentic meals, and then Pizza Eats both delivers and kind of markets the food to other parts of Malaysia and the KL mainly. So their proposition is that they find, they deliver, and you eat. So that's the value proposition to me as a consumer. Their business mission is to rebuild lives through food. So how do you feel after you have supported Pizza Eat? Buying from them is the right thing to do, and I need to support businesses like this more often. So after purchases, you can maybe have a heightened awareness, and you might even feel philanthropic. In Human Inc., we try to support Pizza Eats when we have different events, because it's as very much aligned with kind of our brand value of bringing more humanity to business. So these are some of the campaigns that they have had, some of their marketing, where there you can see that they're providing meals and also being very successful as entrepreneurs overall. They have already partnered with more than 25 chefs. They have served more than 135 meals, and they have given back 2 million ringgits to different chefs to help their kids receive an education. So what is the value proposition of Pizza Eats? There could be other ways of writing this, but this is 2 examples. Help parents from refugee communities be financially stable, or provide great food you can eat knowing you're positively benefiting the world. Yay, we're getting it right. It's both of them. So again, these are also serving 2 very clear customer segments, both the refugee mothers that they're helping, as well as whoever are purchasing the different meals. I would say they might even have 3 customer segments, where they have the mothers, the refugee moms, they have corporates that they sell to, and they also have individuals, kind of single pack meals. Okay, next business model up. We have been through 2. So the first one was the 1-for-1. The second one was the employment model. Now we're going to look at the reuse business model. So I'm not sure if you heard about this concept about circular economy or zero waste economies. It's becoming wildly popular about how can you use waste to actually benefit or resell waste, or kind of repurpose it and resell it and make it into something else that people would actually pay for. I would say one of the kind of the old ways of doing this, oldie but goodie, is the Goodwill. So Goodwill collects and sell donated goods, and they also therefore reduce waste, and they're also reselling gently worn clothes at an affordable price. So they're kind of taking clothes that no one wants anymore, and then they're repurposing it and reselling it, being environmentally friendly, but also providing affordable rates. So their simple slogan, you can almost say, you give, we resell. And their business goal is to empower individuals in the communities they serve. They want to also ensure a self-sustaining community enterprise, and they want to have a positive impact on the environment. So they have quite a lot of social impact in their business model. So how does our customer feel after donating or purchasing from Goodwill? So I love the secondhand clothes and the diversity of choice. It's so cheap. Maybe next time I should also donate my clothes to help others. The after purchase emotion is kind of being empowered to reuse in the future. Satisfaction, also with kind of the growing trends of secondhand shopping. I think Goodwill is probably getting a pretty good deal out of it. So Goodwill has kind of a very basic marketing. But they have a lot about both environment, but also about kind of donations, donating, as well as kind of shopping. So you can see that there is very, very strong, powerful campaigns, both related to how you can contribute, how you can make a difference, but also related to the environment. So the business impact is that you can see that the reuse business strategy kept nearly 61.8 million kilograms out of local landfills at the end of 2019. They have received more than 1 billion material donations from the community. And the economic impact is 305 millions. Sorry, 1 million, not 1 billion. So, who are the customer segments of Goodwill? People looking to donate clothes, thrift shopper, budget-conscious families, or underprivileged individuals. You guys have already figured out my trick questions. Yes, correct. It's all of the above. So it's both. So the kind of top 2 are really about kind of the people who are not underprivileged, the privileged people who wants to donate and also wants to thrift. Then we have the kind of groups that they're trying to serve, which are typically budget-conscious families and underprivileged individuals. Okay, last example is an entrepreneur support business model. So I'm not sure if you've heard about this, but it's been wildly popular to try to kind of help people to become entrepreneurs, especially in poor areas of the world, where we kind of want to help people work their way out of poverty. And Grameen Bank is one of the very good examples of this. The founder of Grameen Bank actually also got the Nobel Peace Prize, if you didn't know that. So Grameen Bank provides credit to the poorest of the poor in rural Bangladesh without any collateral. So what they want to do is that they want to understand, and they also want to help you. Their business mission is to provide comprehensive financial servicing, empowering the poor to realize their potential and break out of the vicious cycle of poverty. So this is really about how can we give you a small loan so that you can start a business, or so that you can expand your business and earn more money to break out of the cycle of poverty. So Grameen Bank is kind of challenging conventional banking strategies. There's a lot of poor villagers who could never borrow money from additional banks or traditional banks because they didn't have a credit history, they didn't have any collateral, they were illiterate. So Grameen Bank came in and kind of revolutionized this by promising a bank based on mutual trust, accountability, participation, and creativity. And they have a system where the bank comes to you. So there's a lot of account managers that are living in the same communities, both building empathy, understanding, and trust. And in that way, they're also reducing the default rates of their loans and being able to build some sort of security in an unsecured banking network. So the international recognition of Grameen Bank, he's gotten the Nobel Peace Prize, as you can see, and it's been highly kind of esteemed in the international world. So the business impact has actually led them to create 18 other social businesses with similar value propositions about working your way out of poverty. There are currently 2 million members in Bangladesh with a loan recovery rate steadily about 90%. Yes, Dr. Yunus, you're absolutely correct. So what is the value proposition of Grameen Bank? What about the value proposition of Grameen Bank? What is it? Serve the community. Yes, very true. They want to serve the community. How do they want to serve the community? Lend to the poor who has no collateral. Absolutely true. Why do they want to provide funds to the underserved? What is it they're hoping to do by doing that? Break the cycle of poverty. Yes, exactly. So they want to give funds so people can, for instance, buy a sewing machine or a couple of tools to start repairing. So they really want to try to create entrepreneurs who can get the initial funding they need to get their business started. So just to summarize, we have gone through 4 different business models. The first is the one-for-one. The second one is Pizza Eat, the employment model. Then there's the reuse model. And the last one here is the kind of entrepreneur model. So as you can see, each of these companies are making both profit as well as impact or positive change in the world. Yet it's not just the balance of profit and impact that is included in a business model. So there's quite a few other elements that we need to think about. As you remember, the business model is the core strategy for delivering value and ensuring profitability. So we are now going to look at a tool where you can actually get an overview of all the key considerations of a business model. And that tool is called a business model canvas, or a BMC. So we have now gone through 2 of the 5 goals we have. What is a business model? Why is it important? And also given you some examples of business models for social enterprises. So now let's look at what a business model canvas is. Business model canvas is an extremely popular and widely known tool from design thinking. It's used both by startups, but it's also increasingly being used by corporates who wants to kind of look at how they can create new value propositions around their different products. A business model canvas is a strategic design thinking tool used to capture the key elements of a business model. It helps make strategic decisions on what our business model should be in light of our new value proposition. It is also a detailed illustration of a business model in a BMC that makes the business model visible. It also makes it accessible, so you can assess whether or not it's a good business model. And it also makes it changeable. So you can also mapping a kind of the before and after business model and see how it evolves over time. This is how the business model canvas looks like. You can see in the middle, we have value proposition. Well, all the way far to the right, we have customer segments. Then we have looking at how are we kind of serving those customers, through what channels, and what type of relationship do we have with those customer segments to be able to bring them the value that we want to bring them from the value proposition. On the bottom right, you can see that we have revenue streams. So through customer relationship channels, customer segments, and value proposition, we're able to see what type of revenue that we are able to create as an organization. On the left-hand side of the canvas, you can see that we have key activities. So what are some of the key things that we are doing to be able to deliver our value proposition? Then we have key resources. So what are the resources that we need to have internally to be able to deliver the value proposition? All the way to the left, you can see key partners. So a lot of different organizations actually have a lot of key partners that they have to partner with to be able to deliver their value proposition. Then you can see that all the key activity, key resources, and key partners are normally what considers or what brings us to the different costs and the cost structure of an organization. You are going to be filling out one of these later, but don't worry, we're not going to make you do it yet after that very, very short walkthrough. I'm going to give you an example. So let's have an example. I'm sure you all know Netflix, and I'm going to show you how Netflix business model has evolved over time. So what was the original idea behind Netflix? Or what was the thing that Netflix was originally doing when they launched? Do you know? And if you don't know, any guessing? Oh my God, we have it straight on the first one. Yes, it was DVD rental. So they were actually a mail order DVD renting company where you could kind of rent different DVDs, and it was a subscription model still. So you would get new DVDs in the mail, but you would not receive a new DVD until you kind of mail the other one back. So in that way, you could kind of have like a circular way of returning and receiving DVDs on a subscription base. So this is what their business model canvas looked like in the early days. So as you can see, they only had one customer segment, which was movie lovers in the USA. In terms of their value proposition, that was easy DVD rental. So as I mentioned, you sent one, you got one, you didn't have to go to the DVD store. You can see in the revenue streams that you kind of had a very limited revenue streams. It was all you can watch for free, meaning all you can watch of the same DVD, right? You're allowed to watch it as many times as you want, but the selection was nowhere near what it is now. And then of course, you had a rental fee that they paid. The channels that they had were mail order through DVD.com, and you can see there were no particular customer relationship. And they also had the physical channels of distribution. If you're looking at the left side, you can see that they had no particular partnership opportunities. And you can see that their key activities were related to shipping, licensing, data analytics. Their key resources was still their customer base. They had an algorithm that were able to kind of predict when people had returned the DVDs and needed to get new ones. They also had a brand, and they had a very wide range of DVDs. So the cost structure that they had was licensing, because obviously they had to license all these DVDs, research and development, and then kind of general and admin. Let's look at the evolved business model canvas. So now we can see that they have more varied customer segments. They're global movie lovers, so across 190 different countries, and they're also working with quite a few different brands. You can see that the value proposition has changed completely. They have all you can binge watch. They have a variety of content. They have streaming and on demand without ads, and all you can watch DVD. And for brands, they get access to relevant audiences. The revenue streams is subscription, and product placement. On the left side of the canvas, you can see that their key activities now includes production. It's also still licensing and data analytics. The key resources is really about customer base, algorithm, their portfolio, and their brand. And you can see that they have many more partners now. One is, for instance, consumer electronics. And I don't know, but last time, if you recently bought a TV, Netflix is already built into the TV. You don't have to do anything but just log on and click the button. You have different cable companies that they partner with. You have producers, and you also have broadcasters. And you see the cost structure has also changed to be much more around production, R&D, licensing, technology development, and also general and admin. So this is how the model has developed over time. The only reason why Netflix managed to evolve this way over time was because they understood their customer segments, they came up with new ideas, and they were constantly using design thinking to improve. Okay, so now that you've gotten such a brief and a very detailed overview, let's get ready for a quiz. I can see a couple of people are asking who Wilson Lee is. And as he said, he is your quiz master for this next section. So the quiz is, as always, the same way. This is your quiz code 3287733, or scan the QR code. We're gonna give you a couple of minutes to log in. And user, I totally agree. I also think Wilson is very handsome. Unfortunately, I can't see any of you, so I don't know if you're handsome or not, but I would assume you all are. Okay, Wilson, are you ready to see us quizzing?
Yeah, guys. All right, log in. I guess we'll do the countdown, the awkward countdown. We'll shout into the laptop. I'm not sure if everyone's counting with this. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll take over the screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, it's awesome. And I can see you have 39 hearts.
All right, we need more hearts. We have about 140 just now.
Yeah,
so let it rise a bit more.
I'll give Wilson as many hearts as you give me, okay? I'll get jealous. All right, let's take it to the name section, Wilson.
All right, again, it's a quiz, so everything counts. What's wrong with my internet connection?
Nothing is wrong.
All right, we have 5 questions about the BMC that will, now that Cinna's given you a long download about what the BMC is, I'm sure most of you would know what it is. So first question, very easy. Answer fast, get more points. How many segments does a business model canvas have? Were you counting just now?
Ooh, did you count?
7, 8, or 9.
I wonder how many people are guessing and how many people actually knows.
7 sounds like a good number, I think. But the answer is 9. How many people got that right?
Oh, there's going on here. I love it.
But yeah, so now you know. Now you obviously remember that there are 9 segments in the business model canvas. As you see in here, it is numbered, but that doesn't mean one is more important than the other, or that's the sort of method that you fill it out in. You can also start to choose the value proposition, for example, or key partners. But I guess just quickly on the overview, you have your partners on the left, activities that you do, resources that you need, and the cost structure. So you think about that's more internal. On the right side, you get the more external facing ones, so your customer segments, your customer relationships, channels, how do you distribute your products or services, and how you generate revenue. But everything that sits in the middle, it's the value proposition. So talking about value proposition, the next question is, which of these is a good example of a value proposition? Is it just do it, best burgers in town, or we aim to help the parents of the refugee community be financially stable? I think it's quite obvious for this one.
Let's see. Almost very obvious.
Yeah. Almost.
Almost.
So a value proposition, a well-written value proposition should include a few of the following. One, of course, the target user or segment that you're targeting. The outcome that you aim to provide. So what are you trying to achieve with this? For example, when we talked about the
Pizza Eats. You're dropping out a little bit, Wilson. But what Wilson is trying to say is that you also need to have the outcome that you want to provide. So what is the value you want to provide for that customer segment?
That is
okay.
Good.
There looks like Wilson is struggling a little bit with his internet. Wilson, can you hear us? What's up? All right. But it's very weird because we are in the same office. So Wilson and I are almost sitting next to each other. So I'm not really sure what happened there. But don't worry, he will be coming back very, very, very soon. So we can just continue with the quiz. Wilson got kicked out, so don't worry, I'm gonna take you through the rest the quiz. Oh, Wilson's back. No. Okay, sorry about that, guys. We are working in a tech company, but we're not so techy, clearly. Okay, Wilson, let's see how this is working out for you. Doesn't look like it's working out great. All right, it's not a Christmas miracle. It's a design thinking miracle, which is almost as good as Christmas. Okay, Wilson, you're on mute.
What do we input in the key activity segment?
What is that? Woohoo!
Partnerships, products or services, exercise steps, or ways to distribute your products or service. Which one is it? Answer is there are actually two correct answers in this. So key activities is actually what you conduct and how you actually realize a value proposition. So is that sort of the last point that you had in a value proposition, how do you deliver the value? That's what you input in the key activities. Fourth question, key activities describes what activities your value proposition require and which ones are important and the most in your distribution channels, relationships, customer relationships, and revenue streams. So the things that make your business happen. Fourth question. This one's quite tricky. A lot of people always stumble over this. What's the difference between a customer segment and customer relationship in a BMC? Is it because people are from different countries? It describes how your customer interacts with your business, or who your important customers are from. And again, we have two correct answers. So customer relationship, customer segment, we'll start with that. So again, segment, quite straightforward. I think most of you would get it about who your important target customers are, the demographic that they come from, or whatever personas that they represent, or is represented by your personas. On the relationship side, describes how you actually interact with the business. So is this like a self-service business model where you don't really have the sort of personal interaction, or is it a business model that you sort of create community groups around, or you actually have a very personalized service with a dedicated relationship manager, or more of an over-counter again, so somewhere in between that. So it really depends on how you sort of plan your business around around serving your customers. Last question that we have. Which of the options below is not a type of revenue stream? Not a type. Is it subscription, list pricing, employee salary, or licensing? 2, 1, time. And let's see who got it correct. Most of you got it correct, so that's good. And yes, I guess revenue stream, a lot of us are very accustomed to sort of, you pay what you pay at a shop, you go in and you see a dress or shirt that you like and you buy it straight away. So sort of a one-off sale. But there are many, many ways to think about generating revenue. And as Sina was mentioned earlier, about balancing the need for your social impact as well as making it financially sustainable. So that these are some ideas about how you could sort of rethink how you actually earn revenue. Is it through selling assets, sort of usage-based pricing, subscription fees, which is getting quite popular right now, lending, leasing, renting stuff, licensing your brand or product, brokerage fees, advertising service, and the list goes on. So some samples, of course, it's feel free to also like sort of do a bit of research and explore what else, how could you innovate the revenue model in your social startup.
Yeah.
And with that.
What? Sorry, and with that, we need to see the winner.
We have Brian.
Brian, woof.
Brian the puppy.
Little puppy. There's no one of the same that won the quiz earlier. So I wonder if you guys are just not paying attention now. Was this too hard? Brian's very good.
Well done, Brian.
Well done. I'm happy to see that we have some winners in this workshop. Okay, so congratulations, Brian. Woo woo! Very good. Now let's have a look at what we're going to do the rest of today. So we have given you a very brief overview of what a business model canvas is. So you should have an idea of what the different blocks means. However, the best way to start working with a business model canvas is to start working with a business model canvas, right? So what we really want to do for you now is that we want you to go into your teams and work on your business model canvases by trying to use them in your teams, in your Make Your Challenge teams. So we're gonna create some business canvases based on the case studies that we have already discussed. So based on the 4 different cases that we have given you, we want you to select one of them to try to create the business model canvas. Don't worry if you don't get it right away. That was a fun pun. We're kind of here to try to help you. And you can see the doc that Shane shared with you are kind of all the different teams, and we have created a mural link for each of you. We have also sent you an email with these instructions as well as the slides for the different businesses that we walked through earlier. Shane will also share that file in Zoom if possible. It might be a bit too big, but if not, go check your Sunway email and we will have sent you the instructions here. You can set up a call in any way you want with your team to fill this out. You can mute this Zoom meeting, but I recommend you to stay on the call so that if you have any questions, you can ask us questions in the chat. We will also be sending you the slides that we previously shared. I've already mentioned that. And we have sent you a blank business model canvas template that you can fill out using Mural. We have also sent you the business model canvas in a PDF format. So if you are having problems with Mural, you can use it there. After you have completed this exercise, we will walk you through kind of how we would solve these BMCs. So kind of our suggested solution for each of these BMCs for the 4 social enterprises so that you can compare. But don't worry too much about whether we have exactly the same thing. It's more about getting familiar about thinking about a business model in this way with these 9 different fields that we looked at earlier. Does anyone have any questions? And does everyone have a team that they can kind of go to and kind of meet with to do this business modeling? Do you have your makers team ready? Everyone should have a team. And you should also, everyone, be able to work in that team. So then it looks like most people have a team. If not, kind of let us know and we will try to see if we can do something about it. Maybe put you in a breakout room or something like that. Okay, then we're going to just shuffle you off. You have 30 minutes, okay? So now it's 4:55. Please be back here at 5:25 in this call. After you have tried to fill out your business model canvas, let us know if you have any problems. I would recommend you to not leave the call, just unmute it. And mute the call and kind of ask us if you have any questions. Okay, Brian is on his own. Someone with a Chinese name that I can absolutely not read is on his own. Shane, maybe you can help put those in a breakout room. I'm not sure if that's possible, but if it is, that would be really cool.
Or I mean, if not, if that's not possible as well, you can look at the Google Sheets that Shane shared, and you should be able to find your team in there, your team's mural. So you could also try and work on it on your own and then so see, compare it. I mean, the purpose of this exercise is of course for you to try.
Yeah, try out. Don't worry if you get it right or wrong. Design thinking is about trying and failing, but we want you to get familiar using this tool, and also so that you can ask a couple of questions. Okay, if no one has any questions, I will just play some music. Let us know if you have any questions. If you don't have a team, let us know and we will try to help you. You can use the BMC using Mural and you can request music. What do you want to hear? vertical. You can choose one of the companies to fill out the Q&A. Okay, I think, Kristen, you're completely correct. I will turn off the music for you guys so that you can focus on your group call. Let us know if you have any questions, okay? Just pop it in the chat and we will help you any way we can. Is there anyone who don't have a group or anyone who is alone? Then please just let us know in the chat so we can check. Hey guys, how are you?
Hmm?
2 more minutes, guys. 2 minutes left until you need to be back.
Okay.
Okay, it is 5:25. I hope that you're all kind of coming back to this call. I'm going to play a bit of music now so that you kind of all see that you need to be back here. Hopefully you hear that. Very nice. Okay, so if you're back, can you maybe let us know in the chat? Please let us know if you're back in the chat so that we kind of know where you are, if you're here and so on. Here, yay, we have a couple of people here. Music is here now. So we have 3 people here. 4, 5, 6, yay, awesome, very good, perfect. So we have seen some of your canvases because we have access, right? Some of you done a really good job. I hope it wasn't too confusing. The business model can seem a little bit daunting. However, when you've done it a couple of times, it gets a lot easier. So you can kind of just practice it with some examples and case studies, and also, of course, try to make your own for the social enterprise that you will do. So now that people are kind of starting to get back on here, Chicago is back to see me. I'm back to see you too, Chicago. So I'm happy to hear that we have a mutual understanding of why we're here today. Okay, so I'm gonna just assume everyone is back and then kind of get going again. So welcome back. It's really nice to have you with us again, and I hope you managed to think about the business model canvas and get a little bit more curious around what the different things means. So I want to ask you quickly, was there any part of this business model canvas or business model that you hadn't really thought about before this exercise? So was there something that was surprising that was involved in a business model, or something that you didn't think about as relevant? Drop it in the chat. And it's silent. That might be a little bit of a longer thing to answer. Okay, so Nicholas is thinking about the cost structure. So the fact that you're actually having some costs, and that those costs are connected to resources and activity that you're doing, as well as potentially partners, because you also sometimes have to pay your partners to be a part of it. The key resources are confusing. Okay, very interesting. So I wonder why they're confusing, Nigel. So if you elaborate a bit on that, we will try to help kind of clarify for you. I think maybe what could be confusing is the difference between key resources and key activities. So let me know if that's what you find confusing, and we will help clarify it. The customer relationship, yeah, I think this is something that a lot of people are overlooking, but it can be very important to think about how are we actually interacting and engaging with our customers. Is it virtual, digital, face-to-face, kind of through partner agents, all these different things can be different ways that we are interacting with our customers. Revenue streams is the easiest until now because it's pretty easy to see how organizations are making money. Maybe not so easy to think about how they are spending money. Channels, okay, that's also interesting. So how are we actually kind of delivering that value proposition through the relationship to our customers? What channels are we using? And then also customer segment is easy. No wonder customer segment is easy, guys, because we talked so much about personas yesterday. And you can think about a persona is a very similar thing to a customer segment. It's just a representation of a customer segment by creating a personifying it. Okay, nice. Now we have kind of seen what a business model canvas is, and you have actually also tried to create a business model canvas based on one of the case studies that we gave you. Now we're gonna give you kind of not necessarily the correct answer, okay, because we have not worked for these companies, so we don't know exactly what their business model canvas looks like, but we have kind of tried to make an educated guess around how their BMC may look. So we're going to go through each 4 so that you can very quickly compare. We're going to go through this pretty fast, not so much in detail because we simply don't have so much time together. However, we will of course send you the filled out canvases later on so that you can kind of compare it with how you came up with it. So I'm going to start with TOMS. So TOMS is the 1-for-1 model. So you can see here that if we start with the first field, which is the customer segments. We have 2 main segments, which is the people in need, so basically the people receiving free shoes, as well as the different customers who are buying the shoes in the first place. We call them LOAS customers, lifestyle of health and sustainability, and we also have kind of fashion conscious young adults. TOMS shoes are very popular a couple of years back, especially in Norway, where I'm from. The value proposition to the people in need is, of course, to protect the feet. They also have eyewear. That's why eyes are in there as well. Then they also want to try to help prevent, cure health problems by giving people shoes to walk on. And they also want to try to give an opportunity. They're donating a lot of shoes, for instance, to schools, where having shoes actually means that they have the opportunity to kind of live a healthier life. For the other customer segments, the people who are actually buying it, it means that it looks good while they do good, and they also feel like they're part of kind of a community, and you feel a bit philanthropic. Their channels is online and physical stores, social media, and also affiliates. Affiliates means that resellers and partners who are selling for them. And they also have a lot of partners with the giving partners who are distributing these different freebies to the people in need. The customer relationship is what we call a transactional, so you kind of buy something and get something back. However, they have created a TOMS community, and it's a self-service where you kind of go in, you purchase yourself, no one is really coming selling to you. The revenue streams is, of course, sales, direct sales. The key activities is design of these new shoes. It's sales and distribution, and their marketing for the cause, and then, of course, giving away the shoes. The key resources is their mission and the trust people have in the brand, also their design capability. They also are known to have a really strong company culture, and they have a huge kind of fan community. Their key partners are shoe factories, affiliates, and humanitarian organizations for helping them distribute the shoes. And the cost structure is that they have goods that they give away for free, right? They're also providing some healthcare services in the places where they are, or in these rural areas where they operate. They have sales and distribution costs naturally, and they also have manufacturing costs to produce these different things. Then they also have normal costs like wages and so on. The social benefit from TOMS is that they're helping solve health problems. They're giving better access to education because people have shoes so they can actually walk to school. It sounds simple, but that's actually the reality in a lot of different countries. And they also are using kind of what we call audited factories. So all the factories that they're working with are kind of having good labor conditions and so on, so that they're making sure that every part of the value chain is actually trying to give back and do good to the community. If anyone has any particular questions around TOMS, put it into the chat now so that we can kind of answer it. We will collectively answer the questions afterwards. And Wilson will take us through the business model canvas for Teacher Eats. So this is the employment model. So what does it look like, Wilson?
Thanks, Sina. And I'm not sure if most of you know Teacher Eats, but anyway, it's a local startup. And basically, one of the customer segments is refugee families. They don't buy from them, but they serve them. So refugee families cook, and then Picture Eats sort of matches whatever they're cooking to people who are buying. And on the buying side, you get young professionals, corporate accounts who actually cater Picture Eats for the corporate events. So, I mean, again, everything in this business model canvas is not exhaustive, but these are just some of the ideas that we sort of help map out so you can sort of get an idea and build yours. And think about Picture Eats as a business model as well. One, yes, they sort of employ underprivileged families and refugees, but you can also think of it as, in a way, they are different from Tom's, where Tom's is, they provide the food, you buy it. Whereas Picture Eats doesn't really provide they provide a service, but they don't provide a product, right? So they're really sort of a platform or matchmaking, very similar to your Grab and Uber and all that. So the value proposition for this is for the refugee side is that it benefits refugees because they're able to be financially stable coming to a country where they don't have work permit probably. And ultimately that gives the children a chance to receive an education. So it breaks them out of the cycle of poverty and hardship. The next value proposition, at least for us, the buyers, most of us, would be, we get great food knowing that we are positively benefiting the world. And I know people, because these refugees come from war-torn countries or quite exotic locations, right? So a lot of people also would like to try new cuisines, and they achieve that through Picture Eats. So channels, of course, for refugee families, probably the main source of distribution of what they can do is probably through word of mouth. So I'm sure everyone also is on social media, events, and websites. I think this is quite normal and common. And for at least the customer relationship as well, one, yes, it's transactional. So you are mainly buying meals. It's a one-off. You're not buying a meal every day or like a subscription model. They might be launching one, I don't know. But also the other type of relationship that you see, especially with a lot of these social impact startups, is the community aspect, right? How are you trying to rally people on board to your cause? And the more on board they are with your cause, the more likely they're going to retain as a customer. Whether both they are providing the service or paying for the service. So of course, revenue streams come from single meal purchases, corporate catering, and corporate events. You might really be venturing into that. Some of the key activities that probably Nick was strong. You're trying to differentiate. So activities, what does the business actually do, right? So obviously they cook. And after they package this cooking and everything, and if they're doing sort of corporate catering, then they have their catering business, right? Planning, catering, food ordering, and then the sort of utensils and setup that comes with that. And of course, the delivery aspect of it. So again, this is what we see. I'm sure there are many, many more activities that go on behind the scenes that we are not privy of until you actually sort of build it up, right? And then the resources that you need. How is it different from the activities, right? So resources enable the activities. So to enable cooking, you need kitchen operations, you need chefs, you need people to buy the food, prep the food and all that. You need marketing. How are you going to get the word out? And of course, let's say chef onboarding, right? So if you're thinking about refugee families, maybe they need to be onboarded and trained on how to prepare food commercially so that's safe and good to eat. And if you're looking next on the customers, key partners sort of point of view, you've obviously got refugee NGOs and let's say your food delivery platforms like your Foodpanda and Grab. And finally, the cost structure for that, what's the cost that goes into all this? Is your raw ingredients to buy the food, the sales and distribution costs, your marketing costs, typically your delivery costs, and of course, this sort of training that goes with for your employees as well as refugee families. And what's the social benefit that comes out of it, right? So one, you really empower these refugee families with a job and income. And of course, the team here has better access to education for sort of the second generation benefiters. And finally, of course, for the wider populations, of course, it raises the awareness of refugee issues for Malaysians, right?
Yeah, awesome. So that was Picha. Now let's look at the kind of reuse business model of Goodwill. So for Goodwill, you can see that the customer segments who they're serving, you have budget-conscious families, you have thrift shoppers, individuals. These are all the people who are buying clothes from Goodwill. Then, of course, you also have the donors, the people who are donating clothes to Goodwills. The value proposition for these customer segments is to kind of get access to clean and wearable clothes at a low price. And for the donors, it's about feeling good about reusing clothes and kind of reselling it. And also, of course, that they want to lower their environmental impact. The channels are mainly related to word of mouth, social media, website, and of course also their stores that should be on there. The customer relationship is transactional, and they also again have a community because they consist a lot of volunteers. The revenue stream is the single item purchase or bulk purchases. So actually Goodwill Store also sells in bulks to other organizations. The key activity is kind of reselling, donating donation items. So kind of basically just taking an item, cleaning it, and then reselling it, so retail activity. The key resources is their retail operations, their collection operations, so they also have to collect all of these clothes, and they also have a big volunteer program who is kind of with all the people that are working at Goodwill and kind of helping that cause. The key partners are their volunteers, and they also have all these different collection sites that they work with where they pick up the donated goods. In terms of their cost structures, they do have some volunteer incentives. They also have retail costs because they have a lot of stores, and they also have admin costs overall. Social benefits is, of course, providing access to affordable household items for urban poor, and then also encouraging community interaction. And there's a third one as well, which is environmental friendliness and kind of taking clothes away from the landfills and adding it back into the economy instead of throwing it away. So that was Goodwill. Let's look at the last one, which is Grameen Bank, which is the entrepreneur support business model. Wilson, let's take it away.
Thanks. Yes. So Grameen actually, basically, they are a bank, but they are a bank for the poor because they don't need a collateral for it, right? So some of the customer segments, the people that use this financial product are typically underprivileged people, really, really poor, the poorest of the poor, aspiring entrepreneurs who are from probably less privileged backgrounds, and the underbanked and underserved. And there's a key point here in terms of women. Know a bit more about this sort of Grameen when it was founded, because why women is that typically women are the ones that hold the family together. They are the nucleus, and they found that if they had loaned money to the guys or the males in the family, typically they'll spend it on alcohol and other stuff. So yeah, women typically more responsible, so they are the sort of key customer segments that they actually target. And these women are these female figures are actually the ones that actually are accountable for each other, and as well as sort of the bookkeepers in that. Because they don't really run branches, their branches are actually the sort of the female head, the village head of wherever the branch is located. Next, we have the value proposition, and of course, it's the bank for the poor. And what's the outcome of it, right? They're trying to enable the poor to build a business and earn an income through small-scale financing. Because sometimes they don't need 10,000 ringgit, they actually just need 500 or 1,000 ringgit, just enough to buy a bit of food supplies or something that they can sell on, and after that, scale. So you got the channels, which are these field branches, field work, call centers, and the website. And customer relationships, slightly different. This one, it's more very much a personal assistance. So they have very much a trusted bond between the Grameen village head, who's appointed with the person, because they don't have a collateral, right? So they really have to have this sort of personalized assistance and accountability from them. And of course, you've seen most of it, they have a community aspect as well. The revenue streams, although it's quite innovative that they don't need collateral, but again, it's as with any financing institution, it mainly comes from interest rate spreads, service fees, and training programs that they charge for people who want to become a village head or branch head. So key activities, this is the financial services. So this is basically your home loans or your business loans, risk assessment that they do, and your branch operations. And key resources that you need, again, it's sort of these sort of small loan products. So product officer or product, your branch network, sort of how you run these branches, and training programs for a lot of these people, because training is a very, very key aspect for this to work. And key partners, so funny thing about this, or interesting thing about this, is that it's 95% owned by local communities and only 5% owned by the government. So that way they feel the accountability to pay, even though they don't have a collateral, because everyone owes each other. and NGOs to help spread the news about this. The cost structure, and the last one, government agencies and regulatory bodies, very, very similar to a bank. Cost structure, you get financing, admin, branch costs, and legal and tax. So social benefits, you empower poor families to get access to financial products, to again get a job and earn an income. And ultimately, I think the fall-on effect of this model where they sort of empower female positions in poor communities, because these females are usually the trusted bookkeepers.
Okay. So this was quite a long download about the different business models, but as you can see, there are many different ways of filling out this business model canvas. There is no necessarily right or wrong way. The point is to get an overview of all the different elements that it consists, of. Of course, if your mom cooked you dinner, you're allowed to go, user. So we have now gotten an overview of what the BMC is. We know that a social enterprise can have many different ways of structuring their business. You need to figure out what works for you. The most important is that we create an overview and that we know that we have some cost generating activities, but we also have some revenue generating activities. And we need to make sure that the revenue generating are outweighing the cost generating. And we also need to make sure that we are providing a social impact to the community, either directly by the people we serve or by kind of using either different reuse model, or kind of making sure that we're using labor that is in a difficult or underprivileged situation. So we have now added one more tool to our toolkit, and we have 6 design thinking tools or concepts that we know. So now, very quickly, why do you think it's important to evaluate your business viability of your solution? Why have we spent a whole 2 hours working on this? Why is it so important? There's many reasons. Probably no correct. So the business has a better plan. Yes, of course, we need to have a plan because we want to grow. So the startup doesn't fail. Yeah, so if we have the right idea, we also need to make sure that we make money. We also, of course, want to make sure that we have profitability. We want to avoid wasting resources. We want to make sure that we have a sustainable business that can grow. We also want to make sure that we have some money to be able to kind of overcome potential risks and roadblocks. And by building out the business model, you can also get this risk analysis to see, is our cost higher than the profits? And is there anything we can kind of innovate in our business model to make our business more productive? We have something around the projecting customer retention, so we can see something around our relationships and how we are kind of interacting with our customers, and we can see if we're kind of doing it effectively or not. As you saw with Netflix, it doesn't mean that you create a business model once. A business model can be evolving over time. So you might need to pivot or change your business model if you see that it's not working, and there's no harm or shame in doing that. Brian, in terms of how companies are analyzing their competitors, you could probably make a business model canvas for your competitor to see how you differ. However, I would say that you normally use other competitor analysis tools to be able to do that. But you could use the business model canvas, but it would probably not be the only thing you use. Okay, so we have one more quiz to go. So this is the final quiz where we're going to summarize everything we learned yesterday and everything we learned today in 7 questions only. So please scan to access the quiz, or you can put in the code 43817111. That is kind of the golden code, the last code of today. Actually, it's not the last code. It's just the last quiz, because we do still have kind of a feedback mentee at the end. But I promise you guys, we will be done by 6 p.m. So do not worry. Okay, so please make sure that you are in the quiz. I can kind of see who is already in here now. In the final recap quiz, we are getting started really soon. I can see you already being ready to participate. I have 46 hearts already. Haha, Wilson, I'm getting more hearts than you. Let's put in our names, so you can put in whatever you want to compete with today. Looks like we have about 64 people in. The rest of you have about 10 seconds to join. I will start the countdown very soon. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have 69 people in the quiz. Oh, I got 70. We got 72. Okay, the countdown really worked, I think. Okay, let's get to it. Answer fast to get more points. So how can you find out more about your user segment? Immersion, user interviews, observation, or all of the above? 5 more seconds, people. The answer is all of the above. You can do immersion where you're putting yourself in their shoes, user interviews where you're having a conversation, or observations where you're observing how they are interacting with a specific product or service. Next, we have question 2 out of 6. And the last question, not the last question, but the second question in last quiz is, what are the 3 stages of design thinking? Understand ideas in action, plan ideas in action, interviews, idea prototypes, or who cares? What are the 3 design thinking stages? 4 people who don't care. I'm so sad to see that. But we have ideas, understand ideas in action, which is correct. I'm going to do the move so you can remember. Understand ideas in action. Those are the 3 stages of design thinking. Okay, so let's see. We're halfway through. Which tool did we use for ideation? If you weren't here yesterday, then maybe you don't know, but did we use Idea Jam, Idea Tree, or Idea Storm? What was the name of the tool that we used yesterday? 3 seconds, and the right answer is Idea Tree. Yeah, awesome. We will send you a template so that you can use this in your teams later on, that you can use the tool when you're coming up with ideas. I did one this morning, and my team had more than 40 ideas in their idea tree in 20 minutes. So please try to beat that. Okay, so now we are kind of closing in, zooming in here. All right, so which of these can you prototype? So we're already in the action stage now. Which of these can you prototype? A service, product, app, all of the above, or none of the above? And the right answer is all of the above. You can prototype anything. It's just about trying to create something to test with a user so that you can learn more about their preferences. All right, second to last question. What is the innovation sweet spot? I've already quizzed you on this one earlier, so you should get it. It's a commercially acceptable, user-friendly, business viable, technically feasible, or user desirable. Everyone should get this right. Very nice. So it is business viable, technically feasible, and user desirable. Let's look at the last question, guys. To ensure that a startup is business viable, we can create a business model map, a startup pitch, or a business model canvas. If you don't get this right, I am going to cry. Okay, now I feel like someone just did that so that they would see me cry. But I'm almost shedding a little tear here because the right answer is business model canvas, or a BMC. We have also sent you a template for this that you can use in your startups to try to come up with the business model that you want to create for your social enterprise. All right, let's see who the winner for today is. Ooh, Kuda Turbang and Pingugu, and then we have Strawberry Shortcake, Brian B, Brian Jordan, the one who must not be named. So we have a couple of different funny names here. So thank you so much for playing. I think we have a new winner again. So there's definitely a spread here, Wilson, towards who is able to do our quizzes. Today, we have finished the business model canvas part of this. That means that yesterday we completed the first part of the design thinking module. Today, we completed the second part, which was about business modeling. We have seen many different types of business models. We have seen how we can use the business model canvas to map the entire business model of a social enterprise, and you have already started doing it yourself. Don't worry too much whether or not you got it right or wrong today. This is really about practicing, and you will spend, when you have more time to spend doing this, when you're doing it with your startup, I'm sure you will be able to come up with a cool and innovative business model. When it comes to business models, you're also allowed to borrow from others. You don't necessarily have to invent something new every single time. Let's give ourselves a round of applause for completing this. This is absolutely awesome. You did so well. We would love a little bit of feedback and comments. So please, for the last time that we have together, and I'm so sad this is the last time, go to menti.com and enter the code 7580689. Scan the QR code. I'm gonna miss you guys too. You have been awesome to kind of host. It's been really fun having you everyone here and being so active and participating. So please do me a favor and do this last Menti so that I know what we can do to better it for someone else next time. So head to menti.com, pop in this code so that I can kind of see the feedback from you guys. And then there's one more thing that I would love to do in the last kind of 5 minutes of this, which is I would love us to take a group photo. So make sure you log into the Menti, okay? That is #1 priority. And then after that, I would love for you to actually dare to take on your cameras and let's take a group photo all together on Zoom, the classic Zoom photo. I'm not sure exactly how it will work with this many participants, but we can try. Oh, I see some cameras coming on already. I feel like that means that you have already gone to menti.com and put in the code 7580689. So I'm gonna stop screen sharing because then I can see more people. Yay, okay. So let's everyone do a little pose together. Should we do like a heart? So everyone makes a heart. Wilson, I'm not sure what kind of heart you're making, but you're making some sort of a heart. Okay, let's make a heart, everyone, and we're gonna take a couple of screenshots. The real Shane will help take some screenshots. You guys are looking so nice. We're all gonna spread love to our communities through our startup ideas, and we're gonna solve some SDGs. That's absolutely awesome. I'm not sure what there's someone who's definitely trying to show their phone or something. I'm not even sure. Okay, I'm sending you loads of love here from KL. I'm not sure if you're all, the rest of you are in KL or not, but I feel like we got a lot of nice shots now. So thank you so much. Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you for the love. If you have any questions, I'll be staying around for the next 10 minutes. So feel free to hit us up in the chat, or if there's anything that you would like to ask us, we are here to help you guys, okay? Anything at all, do please let me know. Arvin. Hi, Sina. Am I allowed to access this recording in the future? Yes, you are. We will be sending it out and it will be released on Sunway iLab's YouTube channel under kind of a closed account. So you need to be able to see, oh my God, Vanessa, I didn't know there's so many people there. How are you? Nice to see you guys. That's so nice. Okay, cool. So yes, we are going to release it. Brian, I'm so happy to hear that. I had a lot of fun hosting it with you guys. So I'm really happy that you got something out of it. I really did before when I started my own company as well. So I know that these tools are super, super valuable to create real business impact. Thank you so much, Sadia. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. It was a pleasure hosting all of you. Let me know if there's any questions. You can add me on LinkedIn. Yeah, I was just about to say, my name on LinkedIn is Sinne Stolmacher. So please add me there if you want to. It's been a pleasure hosting you. Ah, Mr. Blessing, is that you? Why did you change your name today? I don't really use IG so much, but why not? If you want to add me, but I don't use it. I'm not on TikTok. Wilson is. Wilson, what's your TikTok? You don't want to share? You're on mute.
But there's nothing on there.
Okay, he's shy.